Hey everybody, welcome back. Today we're going to take a look at my favorite prepper stove, the Optimus Svea 123. So let's get started. Alright everybody, welcome back. So I wanted to show you this stove today because this is definitely one of my absolute favorite prepper stoves. In a grid down situation, I can guarantee you that would get a ton of use. Again, would I use it in my house? I probably would. Again, I have adequate ventilation, very high ceilings. I've used it a lot. I know how it works. And I have a nice big countertop in my kitchen to use it on. If you live in a smaller place where there's not a lot of ventilation, maybe you don't want to use this inside. I'm not a big fan of using gas stoves inside that use liquid fuel. But this one's fairly safe and isn't as high pressure as some other ones. So I'd probably use it if I had to. But I have so many other options that why would I bother, you know? However, outside I would definitely use this. Outside, you know, in a camp, maybe if I had to bug out, whatever, this would definitely be something I'd grab. And I'm also going to show you how I have set this up. Now I've long since lost the pot that goes on top here and the little handle that goes in the pot and you cook with it, because I have a whole other system, and we'll get into that later in the video. But perhaps the most important part of getting prepared is having a way to prepare the food you stored away, okay? You can have all the food and water in the world, but without a way to cook it, you kind of failed in a basic prepping need. That's why I cover stoves often, and probably my most common question asked when people start prepping is, okay, I got my food, I got my water, I got my first aid, my self-defense. What do I do if my home stove isn't working or I have to leave my home? And that's where stoves come into play. And that's why I like to cover a bunch of them. Honestly, I get so many of these things that I end up, you know, the ones that I've used and I like, but they're not crazy about, I end up just selling them or giving them away. But this one is one that will be with me forever. These are solid, proven, portable stoves. They really, really work well. And if you look at reviews online for these things, you almost never see a negative review unless somebody doesn't know how to use it. And they buy one and it's like, oops, you know, this doesn't work. So it is kind of a lightweight option. It is made of solid brass, but it doesn't look lightweight. But I got to tell you, picking this thing up, you see how big that is compared to my hand. It is a smaller object. When I first started seeing these online or watching videos for them, and they've been around for way before I was alive, but when I first started seeing these online, I was like, damn, that's an awfully heavy stove to carry, you know, for lightweight backpacking or bushcraft or whatever. But they definitely make up what they have in weight. They make up for in reliability and really high-end performance. It's a self-pressurized tank. There's no pump needed, and it's very, very simple to use. There's no loose parts really, except for this. I got this loose on purpose. This normally comes with a chain that goes through here and will connect to the inside of this burner. And I hated having to feed that chain through here, so I dumped it. You notice I did paint the end of this with some really obnoxious red nail polish. The reason for that is this is a color that doesn't really exist in nature. If I drop it in the woods, I may not see this, I may not see the silver, but I'll definitely see that red. It stands out, it's really obnoxious. And that's how you control the stove. Now, there are a couple different versions of this stove. The older ones were with the Svea 123. This is the Svea 123R. The difference is this has a cleaning needle built into it that will clean the inside of the stove there where the fuel comes out. Sometimes that can get clogged. Now, what I'm using for this is this stuff right here. You can use gasoline, petrol, you can use all sorts of different stuff in this thing. I'm not comfortable using gasoline in stoves, honestly. I just don't like the idea of pressurizing gasoline. But white gas camp fuel, no problem with it. That's what I use in it. Some people have used different stuff. I kind of just want to stick with what I got. Let's talk about my upgraded kit for this and what I've done. Now, you've already seen one upgrade here. All right, and I did put this paracord on here because I feel that's kind of handy to have. You know, if you want to put this in your pocket, you can feel it, you know it's there. You can hang it on something. But the chain, I just wasn't into the chain. So, let me take off the top here and show you. It's very simple to operate. There you go. That's the heart of the stove right there. Now, how I set this up, kind of interesting. Those of you that might remember, gosh, I did this video The reason I'm redoing this stove in this video, from years ago, is because I have so many more new subscribers. I think I had 10,000 subscribers when I first covered this stove. And I know a lot of folks out there may be looking at this and going, I don't know, that's hard to use, it looks old-fashioned. This thing kicks butt, let me tell you. So I want to show you a little kit that I got up here. I have the Optimus Terra Weekend HE cook kit. It's the heat exchange cook kit. It comes with a base, and this will be the lid. I'm sorry, it comes with a lid, not a base. And this would be your base. Now, you will notice the fins on this. These are heat exchange fins. What they'll do is they'll allow this to heat up a lot quicker. And we are going to use this today to boil some water, make some coffee. It's a very simple cook kit. Everything fits in there, and I'm going to show you how I put it in there because I don't necessarily want that white gas all over my pots inside. Yeah, you can wash them out, but there's a good chance you might miss something. So what I do with this, okay, is when I'm packing this up, I will pack this up. And by the way, this is how you close this back up. I want you to see that little bump there. It goes over that, all the way around on all of them, and then you just turn. And it goes up into there and locks itself down. So this is fully sealed now. Okay, so what I do generally is I will stick this in a plastic bag. It's probably over caution, but I just don't want to one day pop this out, be really hungry, start cooking, and end up with Coleman fuel in my mouth. And then I'll put this around it so it doesn't make a lot of noise, okay, like that. And I will seal this up. I'm just doing this for time constraints. I will normally seal that up. I'll stick that in there like this. Get it in there. There you go. Okay. When this is all sealed up, it's a little neater. Oh, I'm off camera. Sorry about that. Put it like this. And again, it's a whole lot neater when I do that. And there's your cook kit. I do have the stuff sack that this comes with, the Optimus Terra. This is a really nice cook kit. It's a really well-made cook kit, and it's not super expensive. I forget the price. I will put a link down below to it if you're interested in just getting the cook kit and not the stove. It does snap together, too, which is nice. You saw everything pop out of there when I opened it. So that's in there pretty good. You can snap that down, and it's not going to fly off there. However, when I open it up, you can see everything's going crazy. Now, I do it a whole lot neater when I pack it in there, but for time constraints, that's how I do it. You may find a different way to keep the fuel from leaking out. Yeah, you could empty it every time, but it's kind of annoying. So I just kind of do it this way. If you find a better solution, hey, leave it in the comments down below. So what we're going to do is go over how to prime this, how to start it up, and some tips. The first tip is don't overfill these. I know as preppers we like to think, yeah, we'll fill this right to the top and I'll have tons of extra gas in there and plus a can with me, and don't overfill them. There's a line down here at the bottom, and I will show it to you. This is pretty much your fill line, okay? You want it 2/3 of the way full. I've seen people fill them up to here. What happens at best is you get a sputtering stove. Now, it will sputter when you first light it up. That's fine. It'll go and do a little, sorry about the sound effects. But it will kind of, surge and jet a little bit when you first start it up. But if you fill it all the way up, this needs air to operate in that tank. You don't want to do that. You don't want to have it like that. Because you'll get that, and it will never go away until the fuel burns down. Also, too, the higher pressure in the tank creates a dangerous condition. Now, this is a pressure release valve here. Oh, and I didn't close that all the way either. This is a pressure release valve here, and this will pop. It is spring-loaded, but it will pop and all the fuel will come out. And you can have a really exciting afternoon if you're camping. So you definitely want to keep the fuel down to this line or even lower. This thing sips fuel. Don't worry about it running out anytime soon with the proper load in it. So I'm going to put this on here. You don't need to go too nuts. Now, I mentioned the 123R and the 123. The way you can tell the difference on these is one has that pin. Now, I don't know if you can see. Gosh, it'd be really tough. I can see it. Inside there, you'll see a pin sticking out of that hole. I don't know if you can see that. It's coming out of that little jet burner there. That pin is to clean it. It also seals it up very well when you're traveling with it. So what you'll do is if you use a fuel that gets it all clogged up, you'll simply put this here and run it up and down a few times until you see that pin come through. Now, if this gets hot in your bag, it might leak fuel. That's why the plastic bag, because it will pressurize. So it's just something to think about. Again, I like it. I like its classic kind of old world styling and everything, but you still have to be a little careful with it. All right, now I do have it sealed. So for priming, how this works. You're going to put some kind of flammable liquid down here. You could probably use some of the white camp fuel. What I like to use is this stuff here, denatured alcohol, clean strip denatured alcohol, and I put it in a little bottle like this, and I will simply just put some in the center ring there. Now there is a little bit of a tray in here, see, like that. You don't want to overfill it because what happens is the alcohol will start to boil and spill down. I think that's probably good. Yeah, that's a good amount. Don't want to go too nuts with it. All I'm going to do is simply light that fuel and let the heat pressurize the tank and the sort of the generator in through there. And there you go. It is lit. It is burning. I'm going to turn down the light here for you. I don't know if you can see that or not. Let's move my other lights away. There you go. So it's a very calm, mellow flame there. And that will prime the burner up top. So we're going to let that sit for a few minutes, burn through, and once it seems to be close, I'll show you what it's like to turn it on, and we'll go from there. So the flame is out. It burned itself out, and you'll hear the gas starting to hiss out here when I open it up. I don't know if you can hear that. And you see it sputtering like that. That's what it'll do the whole time if you have it too full. So we're going to let this heat up a little bit. Okay? And you see nice blue flame on that. I don't know if you can see that. Let me, again, let me turn off the light so you can see the flame. You see it jumping like that. That's just because it's not fully heated up yet. But it'll do that all the time if you overfill it. So you don't want to overfill it, because there's no pressure in there because it's all gas. You know, there's no air pressure. All right, let me let this sit for a few minutes and run for a few little bit. But before we do that, I want to show you up and down here. You can take this thing to a very, very low simmer, but it's not very easy. It's easier to do it kind of putting the pin up in there and being very, very slow with it. See? But I don't want to put it out. So really, its highest pressure and its highest flame will be in the middle there somewhere, because one way closes it and one way puts the pin up in there to clean it. So let's let that sit for a minute. Then we're going to boil some water and see how quickly this thing will boil 2 cups of water. All right, so it's running really well. These are your pot stands, by the way. You can push these out, which I will do, because the Optimus Terra will sit nicely on those. Now, you probably, when you were priming this, should have kept this on. I took it off to show you guys. So you're going to be real careful putting this on there. You don't hurt yourself, because everything gets really hot on the stove. There we go. And it's locked into place, all nice and neat. All right, give it a little bit of... Where's my screw? There it is. Okay. Put it up nicely. There we go. Okay. And I'm going to put this pot on top. There we go. Start my timer down here. And we'll see how long that takes for 2 cups of water to boil. All right, we got a rolling boil. I'm going to stop the timer. 250. Stop. We'll just say 250. That is pretty amazing. As you can see, that is a rolling boil. Let me turn this off. There you go. All right, and there is your cook set. Now remember, this is optimized, this particular pot is optimized to get as hot as possible with those heat exchange elements on the bottom. You using your regular pot at home may be a little different, may not be as fast. I'm going to make some instant coffee with this and show you just how incredible these things are. I mean, that is just really, really quick. Another tip for these is never leave this key in while the stove is burning. Even now, leaving it in here, I can feel it's getting a little warm. This will get way, way too hot for you to pick up. So you don't want to leave that sitting in there while the stove is burning, because it will get too hot for you to use. Alrighty, I'm going to use my other hand to pour here. So this is a nice little cook set, very, very handy. I like it. You know, some people may not like it because it's aluminum coated, whatever. Honestly, I have no problem with it. It works great. I love it. And for a 2-minute and 50-second boil time using that, that saves a ton of fuel on your stoves. So let me mix this up. Now, this came in 2 versions, and if you find an Optimus, a true Optimus 123, let me move that back into the camera for you, you are very lucky because they were made quite a while ago. And they will last 100 years if you take care of it. You know, honestly. No problem at all with that. So the Svea 123 was first produced in 1955. Around the time, I think it was 1969, Optimus bought the company and replaced the 123 with the 123R, which has the self-cleaning needle, which I showed you as best I could on video. That little needle that comes through the end there and cleans out your tube so that if any materials get stuck in there, you don't have to sit there with a tube and sit in there and try to clean it out. Now this is really hot, so it's going to be hard to demo this, but I think the best way to show you, let me see if I can get it off without hurting myself, is the way this tube comes out here, where your screw will go in, your key. There we go. Okay. This is a 123R because it's straight across like this. The older 123s had it slanted downward a little bit. So your older stoves, you'll be able to tell, it might be a little higher and kind of pointing downward. So that's the way you can tell the older way. It points down approximately a 45-degree angle. And the key will also have a cutout to do a lot of the adjustments instead of these little pieces here to do the adjustments on the stove itself. You can reach in there and adjust everything you need to do with this key alone. So the total weight on this thing is 4.6 ounces, so it isn't heavy. A lot of people will think, well, that's awfully heavy. It looks like a big brass heavy stove. It isn't. It really isn't that bad. I was really shocked the first time I tried it. The maximum energy on this is 4,780 BTUs, and its size are 3.9 inches by 3.9 inches by 5.1 inches tall. Really a smaller stove. Again, you know, when I first saw this on video, even with people using it, I thought it was much bigger than it is. It's a lot smaller. And you see how efficient that flame burns. That was a bright blue flame. You couple it with a heat exchange cook set, and you're kicking some butt there. You're doing pretty good. So that's my review today, and little show and tell session of the Optimus Svea 123R. As how I've set it up as well, with a cook kit and everything. Another neat trick to do, if you can find these old flasks, is store your fuel in these. Not only are they lightweight and small, but they fit right up against it. So you got it all kind of compact in one little kit. You might even be able to stuff it in the stuff sack, although I've never tried that myself. I prefer to keep the fuel separate from it. This does take a while to cool down, as evidenced here. It's not bad right now, but if I were to turn that key again, you would probably hear, let's see if we can hear it. Yeah, there's still gas coming out of there. I guarantee you I could relight it. Whoop, in a heartbeat. A little too much gas coming out of there. Anyway, that's how it works. The same thing will happen when you're priming it. It's no big deal. If you want to put it out, you can always put something over it. All that will do is just restart it. As you can tell. See? No big deal. But yeah, there was a lot of gas because I was letting it out before. But you can see it restarts really, really well. And another cool thing about that is it allows you to use the gas inside, let me turn it off, to prime the stove as well. So it's a really neat system. One of the maintenance points of these, sometimes the stuff in here will get messed up. Your tube and your pin will get all a little clogged up. It doesn't happen very often. The thing on here, over here, the, gosh, I can't think of the thing, the gasket on that will become too weak after a while and you'll have to replace it. All these parts are still available. It's still for sale everywhere, so it's really not hard to find this stuff. And as you can tell, that white gas will do an excellent job priming it. So that's why you got to be careful when doing it. Because once you turn this back on after it's been used, that will spit out from there, and that's why that kind of blew up like that. But hey, you know what? It's a very safe stove. If you use it correctly and if you use it smartly, you won't have any problem. But you do want to let it cool down. Now, something that I do, once it's cooled down fully, I won't do it now because it's obviously very hot, is I open this up. I just let the pressure out, a little tiny bit. And once that pressure is let out, you can seal it back up, put it in your bag, and once it's cool, and you're good to go. So it'll probably take about 10 minutes to cool off. That's something to consider too. A lot of the lighter, smaller stoves will cool off very quickly. Those little BRS titanium stoves, those things can be white hot and red, you know, burning, and you turn it off and 5 minutes later it's ice cold. Even 2 minutes later it's ice cold. So it is a neat little system. That's kind of why I wanted to show it to people. I know some people may have seen these. If you just started following me within the last year where I've shot up in subscribers, I wanted to give everybody a look at it. And it's something that I think is really, really handy and could possibly have a use in your preps. This would definitely be something that I put in my I'm Never Coming Home kit. You know, if I have to take my tubs of food and supplies and everything and load it up in my car, which I can do in about 15 minutes, that would make a cool video, actually, this would go with me. It's prominently placed in my storeroom in its kit, ready to go. I just grab it and go. I don't have any stoves or any fuel in that kit because I don't want to accidentally contaminate the food and supplies that are in it. So anyway, folks, I thank you for watching. I will put a link down below where you can pick this up, as well as the heat exchanger cook kit from Optimus. I think it's an awesome little combo. It goes really well together, and you really can't beat it for the price. I mean, the stove itself, now, there's always those stories. I bought this stove in 1977 for $20. Now, it's not $20 anymore. Obviously, inflation over the years has taken its toll. It's $119.95 for the stove itself. This I forget, but we will have a link to it, so you can check it out when we get that link up. But definitely a cool little old world kind of style stove that works pretty well. So check the link down below for this and this. I will have them down there. Don't forget our freeze-dried wholesalers link. If you guys are stocking up, he's got everything in stock, or mostly in stock. And if it's sold out, I had to tell somebody this yesterday, if freeze-dried wholesaler says sold out, just go back the next day and check. He may have to rehydrate more stuff. He has boxcars full of stuff. He kind of predicted this. He has a good amount of food in stock, so check him out. Make sure you check it out. Plus, my link will save you 15% on anything on the site. You want to go there and buy freeze-dried filet mignons, you save 15%, just like you do of freeze-dried hamburgers. So, check him out. Don't forget our Amazon affiliate store, where this stuff will be in there. You can check that out down there. I do try to put everything I have that I review in that store so you can see it. Don't forget our My Patriot Supply link down there. Okay, they have food in stock. They aren't having shipping delays yet. Get your orders in. We had a lot of orders this month. You go in, you can see about how much has been ordered. So you definitely want to get your orders in quickly before the panic sets in. That's preparewithiridium.com, preparewithiridium.com. That'll be linked down below. And our Thrive Life freeze-dried food store as well. You can check out all the stuff Thrive sells down there. You don't need to join anything. You can order it, and it just will be delivered to you. Anyway, folks, I thank you for watching. Stay safe and stay prepared.